about the Promised Land. And if you follow the story, you'll know that I've been walking out this kind of Exodus journey with you, and we have gone from Egypt to Jordan, and we are now in the United States, and we are also in the Promised Land. Okay, and you know, when the Lord comes, He says, you know, if they say go here, go there, you'll find the Lord here. He said, don't believe them. And obviously, for most of you in my audience are from the United States. And when I was sent back here from being very close to the Promised Land in Israel, I was like, what happened? Did I not believe the spies' report and I'm being banished to Babylon? What is going on? Well, guys, what I did is I take this journey very seriously. So I'm telling you the timing of the things. You can see that things happen to me on precise dates, things like related to the spies' report and all this. So when I came to America, I'm like, what happened? Why? What do I say? You know, what do I do? You know, is there a message? Is there a reason I'm here? So guys, what I think is this. I think that the Promised Land is according to the Scriptures, right? It's west of the Jordan River. It says this clearly. That's the Promised Land. But if you pay attention to the message, the dominion of the kingdom is described in Esther, which gives us a boundary at Ethiopia. We saw me at Ethiopia. We saw at Egypt, to the river Egypt, is a promise to Abraham, right? And it goes all the way to the border of India. So this is the land of his dominion, okay? But there's a promised land, right? And we're at the point, the threshold of entering the promised land. So I'm sent back here. And what is the message? Well, I'm gonna kind of rewrite American history, all right? So we're gonna go through some things here that some of you may be familiar with this, but guys, what I did is when I came back to the States, I was very, very grateful for the people that helped me and bailed me out of jail in the Middle East. And it just so happened they were in places where not too far away, there were significant memorial stones for me to see. One of them is right here, okay? And so we're going to look at, guys, it's just, you know, just open up your mind, just you know, kind of think a little differently than some of the history of this nation. Look, there's a lot of people that came here, all right? But there were people that came here as a promised land. There were other people that came before us as an Exodus, okay? So that's why we can still be wherever you are and you have an Exodus to do, you know. You have to come out of Egypt, you know. I was doing this. I was literally in Egypt, right? But if you're here, you're in the States, what do? Well, you have to come out of Egypt, but it's also the promised land. So you can have one step in Egypt and the next step in the Promised Land in the same place. Why? Because this is by the Spirit. Okay, so I want to show you a few things. I went to Ohio. I told you guys, okay, I'm going to take you in Ohio. Come see, let's talk, da, da, da. And when I was there, 2 hours drive to the east is a stone called the Decalogue Stone of Newark. Okay, and this is if you can see this a little bit, this is the size of it, all right? And this is what it looks like. And what you have here is you have something written in Old Hebrew, that's the Ten Commandments. Now what this is this is like a mezuzah mezuzah stone, guys. So it had a case around it, and hopefully this will come out here, but what you would do is you would put this on the post of the doorway, okay? So if this is the doorway to your house, this is the gate, you would have mezuzah, and it would be his commandments, okay? So whoever did this wrote this stone and left it and put it in a grave, okay? So it's found in a burial mound, and when they dug it up, you have this Hebrew. I'll show you another video clip of this and some of the things on the site. I might do a message, guys, on reading this. The people, you can search this. Everyone assumes it's authentic. I don't know if it's authentic, okay? I'm going to use other sources other than this. But this is very unusual. Ancient Hebrew language in America, right? That's crazy, okay? But this is what the stone looks like. And it says Moshe. Mem Shin He, okay? And it's very difficult to read. In fact, there's not many people that interpret it, so it's hard to find a translation. This is what it looks like more of, as you can see. And I may do another piece on this, I may not, guys, but let's not focus on this. Let's move on, because this is the big one. The big one is this stone, okay? This is a stone in New Mexico, Los Lunas, New Mexico. This stone is Paleo-Hebrew, okay? This is Paleo-Hebrew written on a stone, okay? And what you have here is this stone. You can see the color of it. It's been kind of, the surface has been cleared a little bit, but you see a blackened stone. This is very old, all right? And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this stone. And we're going to talk about these people that came here and called this the Promised Land. They dedicated it. So this is a mezuzah, you know. These people are they're coming here and keeping the commandments here and writing the 10 Commandments on memorial stones, okay? So this we can read. Well, let's do a little Hebrew language kind of history, real quick. All right. So this here is an old pictorial form of Hebrew. We call this early Hebrew. And you hear, whether it's coming on the screen, guys, if not, but this is the one where the aleph looks like an ox head. I'm pointing it here. Hopefully it comes out. If not, at the top here, you can see a yod, hey, and the hey is like, hey, vav, hey. And this is the Decalogue. This is the 10 Commandments, okay? And so here you can see some 10 Commandments. Lo, or in the other version we'll see it's la, not, and you know, not this, not that, not that. We'll see this on the stone. So we know this language, all right? There's another language called Middle, all right? And this is very similar to what we see on this stone. So this is something called Paleo-Hebrew, all right? And here's our Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey here. Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. And we know this language, all right? Let's look at some sources of time when this language is used. Okay, here's an inscription here, okay? And we have Shiloh, and this is called the Shiloh inscription. This is Paleo-Hebrew. We know the time of this. This is 700 BC, okay? We know when this is. We have other examples of this to know when this writing was used. And let's see. Here's one. I kind of forget if this is the Moabite stone or another stele. I forget the exact one. Well, guys, this is Paleo-Hebrew. We know what this is. This is around 700 BC. This writing is used. Okay. Then later on, we have the Dead Sea Scrolls. We have writing in another form of Hebrew that's called Late Hebrew. Okay. And so when we're looking at the Dead Sea Scrolls, this is the type of Hebrew we're looking at. So now we have an aleph that's closer to the more modern aleph that we know today. But this is 200 BC. Okay, so let's think about this. We have writing that's 700 BC Paleo-Hebrew in America. We have late model Hebrew in the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's 200 BC. Okay, now you could form all kinds of opinions on this, but you know, obviously we're looking at something very, very old. Okay. So let's go back to this stone, and we can read this, guys. This stone we can read. This is what this is just a way of just looking at the pictorial language where we can read it. You know, I am Yahweh, your Elohim, who is taking you out the land Mitzrayim, Egypt. It's a Mitzrayim, mem. Okay, Bet, house, Obed, slaves. Okay, so this is the 10 Commandments. Okay, now what happened here? Let's go kind of look at this real quick. So we have the first line of the 10 Commandments going at that top line. Presently, that's been scratched off, but we can read that. But what the writer did is in the next line, Lamed Aleph, not. Okay, they actually began to describe the first commandment. Okay, and it goes into the first commandment, but then they're like, oh, wait a minute, I forgot to talk about Egypt, house, slaves. So it's like, okay, let's put that here. And then let's put an insertion. It's like, okay, here's an insertion. All right, so what's happening is you got the first line And then the first line is continuing in the third line, all right? And then that's up to here. And then the second line continues also at the third line here. Okay, so it's just, but we can read this. This is very easy to read. This thing is hard to read. There's no spacing. So this is giving us spacing. This is giving us dots at the end of each phrase or commandment. And we can read this. We have Yohad. We have, remember, Yom, Shabbat, holy, honor your father and mother. Will be long your days upon the ground, earth, that Jehovah Elohim has given you. Okay, and then la, not murder, la, not adultery, la, not steal. Okay, so this is the 10 Commandments written on a stone. You don't even find this in Israel, but it's in America. So what is going on? How do we have this? Well, I want to quote a source here. This is the second book of Esdras, and in this, guys, we have something very, very interesting. What happened in the Syrian captivity? We have a document that's talking a little bit about what we may be looking at here. It's just another source, but it's very, very interesting. What it says here is, and whereas you saw, he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him, those 10 tribes, which were carried away prisoners out of their land in the time of Hosea, the king, Salamazar, the king of Assyria. So these verses are talking about the Syrian captivity, led away captive. He carried them over the water so that they came into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go further into a country where never a man dwelt. All right? That they might keep the statutes which they never kept in their own land. All right? So they're keeping the statutes. We have a stone in New Mexico with the statutes. Okay? And we can read this. Okay? All right? They never, where no man dwelt, that they might keep the statutes, that they entered through the Euphrates by a narrow passage of the river, for the Most High showed them signs to them, and held still the flood, and they passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely 1.5 years. Now Solomon had journeys of 3 years. So even Solomon, guys, had journeys that were probably into the New World. All right? And they called the region Arsareth, which is other. Then dwelt they there until the latter time. So now we're in the latter time. Okay? And guys, let's remember, let's not get into weird cults of calling us the 10 tribes, all right? Let's remember that this is prophetic of all tribes coming together and assembling around the land. That's wrong, okay? But this is extraordinary. Until the latter time. That's what this is talking about. So what we have here is we have a source, we have a document, 2nd Esdras, that is suggesting that Jews came to America. And this is, we know the year 722 BC. Okay, and we have Paleo-Hebrew. This is 700 BC. We know this language, all right? So, I mean, this is unbelievable. So I'm coming here, guys, to America, and I'm like, this is a stone. This is a stone. When Abraham made an altar unto the Lord, it was a stone. And this is an altar stone, a memorial, okay? And what we have here is not just one stone. Many people will, talk about this, and I hope to have some footage of this site. But this is the mountain, all right? And when you enter the mountain, remember we talked about the entering of the gates, the mezuzah. Okay, so you have his commandments at the gates. So when you enter this mountain, you have to enter by this stone. It's a huge stone. It's 80 tons, all right? So you pass by this mezuzah, you pass by his commandments, and you come up to this mountain, and it's a whole complex. You can see maybe there was something here where they were keeping the feast, and they had a tabernacle. This is extraordinary. Now we have that zodiac here. We know this is the Mazzaroth, okay? And there's things here that may actually give us more confirmations than the mere language they're using of this time, okay? So you saw the name there on that, and I want to show you another view of, okay, this is also on the mountain. Now this one is not cleared, so here we have more of this darkened stone, and we have a Yod He Vav He, Yahweh, Eloheinu, okay? Eloheinu. Okay, so we have this. This is on the top of the mountain. This is Paleo Hebrew. So this site is a site of memorial, a site of Jews coming to America in an Exodus, calling this New Jerusalem. They're not. God told them, everywhere your soles, your feet stand, that is the promised land. Okay, so these people came here, man. These people came here and dedicated this as the promised land. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing, God. This is amazing. This is the Exodus. So in my Exodus journey, I came through the Jordan River over an airplane to the States, right? But let's look at something else at this site. All right, so something else at this site. This may not be that clear, but this is this Maseroth in stone. So let's grab another view of that. And okay, this is a view of that, and we have some signs here. Okay, and I just want you to let's just focus on this one. What this says here, it's not clear in the video. It says solar eclipse. Okay, solar eclipse. It says Libra. It says Scorpio. So we have this shape, solar eclipse, and this alignment. Okay, let's look at that in another view. I just want you to be able to see that stone, okay? And here's another view of that. So we have this shape. This is what it looks like, and this is the solar eclipse here, and this is Libra here in that shape, and then there's planets. Okay, so we got Mars, Jupiter, Mercury forming this shape, and then we have a solar eclipse. So what we must do is use software. Guys, I'm going to do this as an intro video, and I'm going to add other data, which I'm not certain of now. I'm going to New Mexico. I'm going to the site. I'm going to try and do some other things. Maybe I'll provide more information. But if I don't, it's YouTube, so other people do the work. So here we have Libra up here, and that's that shape at the end. We got Jupiter, Mars, and Mercury, and what you can see here, maybe just barely, is this solar eclipse. This is 759 BC. Let me say that again. This is 759 BC. So I believe this is right. So the language, the Paleo-Hebrew language, this constellation they wrote in stone of this star alignment is giving us a time period consistent with 2nd Esdras, which is 700 BC or more. I'm just saying it's old. This is remarkable. Okay. So these are people, these are believers that came here and called this the Promised Land, all right? And this is not the first time this has happened. So, I'm from Cape Cod. One second, I'm from Cape Cod, and not far from me is this rock, this memorial stone. Well, what is this? This is Plymouth Rock. And what's the year? 1620. Okay, 1620, we have this stone. We have the pilgrims. What are they doing? They're making an exodus. Okay, now we have another exodus on the other side of the life of Jesus Christ, and we have believers persecuted by Mystery Babylon, right? Fleeing for their lives, risking their lives to be baptized in the Atlantic Ocean, in the sea, to come to a new land. And they came here calling this the Promised Land. They called this New Jerusalem, okay? They came here, they risked their lives, right? And look at this year, 1620. Well, if you know some of the prophets of Ezekiel, there's 390 days, which are 390 years. 390 plus 1620 is 2010. That's the year right here. The Lamb sat on the throne. All right? Just like Daniel's 62 weeks of years added to 1948 is 2010. So we have two places. Plymouth, America, New Jerusalem. Okay? We have Israel being reformed as a nation, 1948, plus the prophecy years, 2010. So we have two Jerusalems. We have two places, but they're also two Babylons. But what I'm trying to get at, guys, is we have forefathers, and this isn't about the flesh. This isn't about these are people that came here and risked their lives for freedom, that gave all they had to start again, to start in a new land, okay? And the whole world from all over is building on these memorial stones. So when you go to the site, this is what it looks like, okay? And I want to play you a little video, but as I play the video, this is so perfect of a description of what we have here. So here we have a stone of believers coming to this country. It's marked by a year, right? And this is amazing. But what's built around it? Rome, Babylon, you know, and this is the principle of these things. The enemy comes in and takes the memorials and takes the prayers and takes the suffering and the offerings of the people, the Holocaust. Let's think about the Holocaust of the Native Americans. I'm not saying all of them are Jews, but there were Jews here, all right, and they were sacrificed. Many of those tribes are not here anymore. But it said in the last days. Okay, so now we're in these last days, and I believe God is reaching out to these people. Well, let me show you a quick video on Plymouth Rock.
We are outside of Plymouth Rock. This is this little Babylonian architecture here around the rock that's inside that I showed you, 1620. So I'll be sharing some more on this and some other stuff. Guys, here we are at Plymouth Rock. Zoom out here so you can see. So what you have here is this monument thing around it. And you can see it facing this way. We've got 4 pillars. On the other side, we've got 6. Okay, looks like we got a tour going on. I'm just going to walk up and see the water. Here we go.
So here we go. We have this memorial stone. These people, these pilgrims, fleeing persecution, coming here, to start anew. So guys, we have these stones. We have a stone in Hebrew, okay? We have a stone, and we have the story of these pilgrims. So I'm going to show you some more on this site, and I'm going to show you some more, on this stone. So keep watching till the end.
Guys, here we are at Hidden Mountain, and you know how they say, where's Waldo? Well, tell me where the stone is. This is first impressions, the first moment I'm seeing it, and this is the mountain here, and if we zoom in, there's the Decalogue stone. Okay, we'll get a closer view for you in a second, but it's amazing just to think that, this could just be some mountain, but here we have Paleo-Hebrew. It's hidden things, amazing things.
Hey guys, I just want to show you a reference point of the stone. You can see here the size. I want to give myself as a reference point. A lot of times when we show the stone, we don't really have a good sense of how large this is. So if we just go up, it's going all the way up to here, okay? And then at the bottom of it, as we come down, you can see the bottle as reference. And here is the writing, okay? I wanted to just show you an overview to show you the scale and size of this stone.
Here we are, and we have the first line defaced on the Decalogue stone, okay? But we can still read this, and I'm hoping that the video will come out. But what we have here is we have I am, and then we have a Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey here, Yahweh, I am Yahweh, Alu Hakim, it's like Elohim, your God who brought or has taken you out of the land. Okay, and then the next line, some people say, so our next line is right here. Some people say that this next line is an insertion. But in talking with people, some people suggested that maybe this is correct. So let me just read this to you the way it's written, and we'll look at it in a couple ways. But if we just read this in the way this is written, it says, I am Yahweh, your God, who has taken you out of the land And there shall not be, or not be, gods, other gods before, lo, my face of Egypt from the house of slaves. Okay, so that's the way it reads, guys. But other people, and then there may be another view where we have an insertion here. We have a arrow pointing up and a dot. Now this dot we see this consistently throughout, is completing a sentence. Okay, so another view is that the person started the first line, and the second line started the first commandment, and then in the third line completed the statement that was actually supposed to be finished here. Okay, I'm not certain of that, but you know, this is clearly something we can read. Okay, and then as we go, we have like an insertion here, and then we have a lamed aleph, la, not. Okay, shall you make idol, la, which is not, take, shem, shin, mem, shim, which is name, Yahweh, okay, vain, and like in vain, okay, and we have a dot here completing that sentence. So let's keep going here, and then we can see some of the other clear commandments, okay. This word, I'm not certain of this word, guys. It's, you know, to pronounce it, I may not pronounce everything here correctly, so bear with me. But this is, it's like Zakur, or Zakur, which is remember. And this is not translated. And then we have a yom, yod, mem, yom, day. Remember, day. And it's like a shin, bet, tav. So Shabbat, Sabbath, okay. And holy, holy. Keep it holy. And then this one is kind of long. I'm not going to try and pronounce all of it, but basically what we have is a honor your father and mother, okay, so that your days you'll have long days upon the earth, okay, and Yahweh, we got a Yahweh Elohim over here, Yahweh, Yod He Vav He, Elohim, Yahweh, and then this is our next line, and then we have the laws, okay, and so here's one of our laws right here, lamed aleph, la, not, murder, la, lamed aleph, not, adultery, don't commit adultery, lamed aleph, not, steal, lamed aleph, again meaning not, basically this line is give false testimony against your neighbor, okay, and then the last line is the do not desire the wife of your neighbor and all that is your neighbor's. Now another thing I hope to attempt to show you is that completes this line, and something has happened here where you can clearly see everything that we've read is clearly etched into the stone. The surface of this stone, guys, is clear to make this readable. But you can see it's sanded or something is done, but there's places you can see this is black, right? So they couldn't get to this part of the surface by using a sander or something. So you can see here, this is the way it would have originally looked. All right. Okay, guys, this is a place where we had a zodiac here on Hidden Mountain. As you can see, this has been destroyed. If we look at the side of this and the angle, I can show you another photograph of someone else standing here, standing in my exact position. We can see the road behind, the bushes, this angle of the rock, and I believe this stone and this area here would have held a Mazzaroth. We still can see that Mazzaroth, but this is very disappointing because you know, people are defacing these sites. So on this, we would have had signs and things to give us maybe indication even of the children of Israel at a time, because it marked an eclipse and everything else. So this is, we've been looking several hours for this, and finally found the exact stone, but it has been destroyed. So evidence of those other things is still out there, but we'll just have to go on other people's photos. Okay, and here we have what could be a water passageway. Here we have a better view from the mountain. You can see all this is clearly green. May not come out in the video, but there is water here right now, and you can see how green it is, and this passageway going all the way out. There's a smaller channel that we looked at before here, but this other channel is clearly green, clearly going, and so it's possible ships could have come all the way right up to this site, right up to this mountain. Guys, so this just want to wrap up the video and say, okay, we have Decalogue stones. One in we've shown you in Ohio. We've shown you the one in Los Lunas, New Mexico. 10 Commandments, statutes of our forefathers, of previous believers that came to the new land, calling it New Jerusalem. So guys, this is the promised land, okay? You know, this is both a place where God has promises to his people. You know, there are other things about God's covenant which he will remember. Talks about it at the end of Ezekiel chapter 16, where it talks about Mystery Babylon, but it talks about God remembering his covenant and remembering his plans, okay? So guys, most of you are in the United States in my audience, and you know, you're in the promised land. It's time to take this this land. This is the promised land, okay? So let's remember God's covenant that we can see in Ezekiel 16. We can remember the covenant that God made with our forefathers, with people in that we can see in the early pilgrims. And we even have children of Israel, possibly the lost 10 tribes, coming up the Rio Grande and coming to New Mexico, writing stones, writing memorial stones in this nation. So these people are claiming this as the promised land, as we should as well. So guys, it's time to reclaim this land, all right? I'm going to go to Israel. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to have some more on this. But I hope you enjoy this. I hope you enjoy the sights as we went to New Mexico and showed you the footage of the mountain. And you enjoy this journey with me as we take the land like Joshua and Caleb. Let us be the Joshua and Caleb generation. So thanks for watching. I'll have more videos on this stone, as I will also have another video on New Mexico in this site, okay? But thanks for watching, and God bless you.